I'm talking about 15-minute cities. Now, bear with me. I know they trigger many people, and I'm talking about defending them in a way. The issue we have isn't 15-minute communities in themselves. It's that we're dealing with urban density-obsessed authoritarian zealots who plan cities. The issue isn't the concept, it's with the motivation of those promoting it and how they want to go about it. The World Economic Forum density zealots, they want to see densely packed urban centers with high-rise buildings and strictly controlled living standards. Their motivations are based on building a rigid socialist society with the movement and actions of people strongly regulated. They claim their motivations are based on environmentalism, of course, and egalitarianism, but that's what the Soviet Union claimed as well. And actually, I did have the pleasure of seeing those giant, ugly row houses in Moscow back in the 80s. Not a pretty thing. Now, the 15-minute city proponents inspired by the WEF, they have no interest in allowing people to exercise their individual choice. That's why they're obsessed with public transit, making individual automobile ownership impractical, if not impossible. They want to squash people into enclaves, and they feel the only way to do it is to regulate movement. This was evident in the UK, where a city tried to force auto owners to stay within certain districts, and they were offering fines if they didn't do so. The WEF vision of the 15-minute cities, it's one of virtual imprisonment. Like most authoritarian states, the elites, of course, would travel and enjoy lavish lifestyles, but the commoners would be left to dull, drudging existences. We're kind of almost there. I mean, look at Canada, where we send our folks overseas to environmental conferences, and they treat themselves on the taxpayers' dime to nice, lavish affairs there at these shindigs. We aren't that far from the two-tiered world the WEF types want us to enjoy. So people don't trust the government to manage their lives, and for very good reasons. I mean, the COVID days aren't that far in the rearview mirror, and we can remember just how eager the political class and their bureaucrats are to control us whenever possible. Unfortunately, this mistrust has led me to instinctively oppose all forms of community planning, even if the planning is good. Now, think of a 15-minute city concept that's not based on authoritarianism, but is instead based on free market capitalism, free movement, and minor zoning controls. Think of a community where stores, schools, medical centers, other services are all mostly within a 15-minute walk, or at least a short drive. Savings could be had as people don't find themselves commuting as far for work or services, and we get a tighter community bonding as people get to know each other and socialize in the community hubs. Now, what I'm describing isn't nefarious at all if living within these communities is voluntary. In fact, we have thousands of them already. We call them small towns. Dense urban downtown hubs are obsolete. It used to be essential that large businesses had to set up administrative centers nearby each other so meetings could be held, communications and documents could be sent, and so that workers could all commute to one spot in reasonable time. With modern vehicles and communication methods, businesses can and are moving away from urban centers, and they're setting up suburban campuses or heading to smaller cities and towns. With the ability to work from home increasing, many people are choosing. That's the key part here, guys, choice. They're choosing to escape the cities and enjoying smaller town life, or at least moving to the fringes of the cities rather than being stuck in the core. New and growing communities are enjoying an influx of new residents, and they're creating local services to make the areas more appealing. They aren't doing it because city planners are making them doing it. They're doing it because that's what citizens want. The irony of the whole 15-minute city issue is that 15-minute cities will form organically if only the authoritarians would just leave citizens alone. Smaller business hubs will form on the outskirts of cities, and residential communities will surround them. The density zealots will decry this trend. Of course, it's urban sprawl. They claim it's environmentally harmful to let people spread out. In reality, smaller suburban communities and small towns, they foster more green space than any densely packed urban downtown, and there tend to be fewer discarded syringes and less scent of piss as well. The world's changing, and we need to plan for it. Smaller communities with independent services within them are the future. There's nothing wrong with 15-minute cities. We just need to reimagine what they'll be and how we're going to achieve them. We got to distinguish between good 15-minute cities and bad ones. It's not hard to tell which ones with a simple rule. If the proponent of a 15-minute city says we need more government to get there, they're proposing the wrong kind. So I guess to use a cheesy statement, let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. 15-minute cities aren't all that bad. Just let us choose them.